All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Firebuilders Live. My name is Josh Corporal, and like always, I am streaming live from Key West, from the porch. And guess who I have on the show? Katrina Young. Finally,
Hello.
welcome to Firebuilders Live, Katrina.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice to see you, Josh. How are you? I'm just sharing it. Bear with me.
You do your thing. Share the crap out of this. And while you do that, let me explain to everybody watching and listening at home a little bit about what we do on Firebuilders Live. We stream live Monday through Saturday. That is 6 people per week. And we bring on amazing guests like Katrina, and we take these big topics and these big goals and we break them down into small steps, things that you can do every single day to focus, right? Because the focus is power, and that power is going to get you places. That is how you achieve great things little by little. It's better to do 1 hour of work every single day than 2 hours of work every other day, right? Just want to remain consistent. That is how you get things done. And let me tell you a little bit about Katrina and what she has done, because I am so excited to have you on the show. You have been featured in places like Forbes, Psychology's Magazine, The Times. You were also very recently honored as one of the top 40 UK digital women to watch in 2020, which is an amazing and incredible honor and feat. You are a digital tech and marketing consultant and strategist. And when it comes to packaging and presenting yourself in a digital world, you go to people like Katrina.
Also,
you're welcome. Well, you're also a mother of 2. You've got over 21 years of helping everybody from Fortune 500 companies to brick and mortar shops. You've got this insane combination of technical know-how, marketing psychology, and the empathy towards the struggles that people face, hardworking solopreneurs. That is what makes you a triple threat, right? And when it comes, sure, and when it comes to, like, creating a compelling message and essentially monetizing your skill set and building systems around that to create things like recurring revenue that everybody wants, you are the person to go to. So Katrina, it's so good to have you. Welcome back. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm really excited to be with you. You know, I'm an introvert, so I'm going to do my very best to share all of my little strategies and tips.
I can't wait. I like to start the show by asking, where are you in the world? And Katrina, what is a typical day in Katrina Young's life these days?
Lockdown. I was pretty happy to get dressed today. I'm coming to you from the from the UK. I scaled my house and here I am. But yeah, I'm coming to you from the UK, close to London, Kent. And yeah, typical day in my life is like scrolling on social media because it's my job, right? It's what I do.
And by the way, and how much of your typical day these days is Clubhouse involved? Because it's like eating up everything, is it not?
Clubhouse is absolutely ridiculous. I'm losing the will at the moment, so I'm just like, I think I'm gonna go on a bit of a detox over the rest of the week because I've got work to do, right? But it's been brilliant for lead generation. Of course, I wouldn't have met amazing people like yourself. So it's got a great job. But a typical day is looking at Clubhouse, tracking my steps, liaising with the team, working on client work, and repurposing and monetizing digital assets. So that's what I will be doing.
I love it. And you're right, like the lead generation on Clubhouse, just being able to converse with all of these different amazing people in various niches all over the place, like outside of marketing too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's been absolutely great. For me, it's kind of skipping know, like, and trust. So it's really building that, and it's amazing for the connections. I've had to say to some people, whoa. I can't book that far ahead. It's amazing, honestly.
It is. It's so good. And let me put this up because Brian says, greetings from the Philippines. I love Katrina's accent.
That's great. Thank you, Brian. Nice to meet you.
You've already got a fan club, I'll tell you.
Man, Brian, you made my day. Thank you.
So Katrina, like with regards, so I feel like you and I have a lot in common because what you do utilizes both the left and right sides of your brain simultaneously. You have to be creative at what you're doing, understanding psychology, understanding empathy, and humanizing with people, but then at the same time, distilling and synthesizing those wants and needs into something systematic that you can then like let loose onto the world, right?
Yeah,
How do
absolutely.
you feel about that?
It took me some time to get here. It took me some creative discipline. As you know, multi-passionate people can like the creativity, but they often don't anchor themselves to do the action and do the work and get out there. And a lot of people kind of say, oh, lots of creatives are broke. And I think that you have to understand, or certainly my journey has been as a usability tester whilst I was studying my marketing degree. It was really great when we did things like random eye testing and software development, because I would be forced to lead the customer journey and understanding their wants and needs and needing that empathy and the EQ as to why someone would even buy a product. So it started, I started that in 2004. So I was always intrigued as to someone's buyer journey. So that was really important. But when you come to marketing, often people are selling at you. And what I found with EQ, it's about understanding the customer and why they need you. It's no longer selling.
When you say EQ, are you talking about emotional quotient?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and what is the eye testing? Is that when you're tracking where they're looking on their screen?
Yeah, so when I did usability testing and we did random eye tracking, we would look at their emotions. We'd be walking them through. So what do you think of this product? And why would you hit that tab? What made you press the buy button? Because obviously when you're building wireframes, you have use cases, and we would build a customer journey and a flow. But we wanted to understand really, how is the user? What is it like for the user perspective? So that was fabulous. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, it was like, and it's the other side of a heat map and software development, so that you're on the other side and you can see when someone becomes confused by the marketing messaging or by the structure of the page. So it's about really improving that customer journey.
100%. And that's one thing that I feel like most people don't do, is they don't put themselves in the shoes of the customers and understand, because almost, it's not that they don't, I feel anyway, having developed all these pieces of software, like I don't feel like it's not that they can't do that, but it's so unpredictable, because I'm sure that you've seen, like, people do the craziest things. You think that you have designed it in a way that it's very straightforward to use, but they will just go off the rails.
It can be something as simple. Recently, we've been developing some software and everyone got stuck on whether a toggle slid forward without the color behind it was actually the tab for the next step. So because that was a main feature, the software, it crashed. So it's exactly that. It's things like that we don't think about, and it's so important for conversions and optimization.
It really is. And the stuff that you learned through observing all of these people using software with eye tracking, understanding them, how have you then been able to translate that into now creating entire customer journeys and systems for people as they try to sell online?
So that was brilliant. I started that in around 2004, and then we moved to looking at kind of retail. So I would do different I'd move to focus groups. And again, the deeper kind of understanding, well, why do you like that? Why do you want to buy that? Why do you want to do that? And I loved it. But with creative teams, sometimes you're brainstorming all the time. And so in 2007, I did my Prince 2 because I really wanted to understand about project management. How do you manage this creativity? So that was great. And I
Wait,
really
can I stop you? What is Prince 2?
So in the UK, the Prince 2 is like Prince 2 in project management. So I guess you guys have your certifications, but it's an accredited body.
Okay, got it.
It's a process, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget you're there. But yeah, so I guess it's just proving that you've followed a methodology.
Okay, got it.
So I did that, and then I always love project management and marketing. So I I sat kind of in the middle. And then a lot of that was theory and working for agencies. And of course, when you become a consultant and you're doing it yourself with B2B and B2C, it's a whole different ball game. And I must be honest, there wasn't as much emphasis on copywriting. And I found that actually the copy, the words is what sells. So that's how I kind of came to where I am.
You're like, so many people underestimate copywriting, like good copywriting. They think, oh, it's just because when you read it, if it just works, if it just feels like it flows, it's actually much harder to create that state with people than most give credit to, right?
Absolutely.
It's really easy to write horrible copy.
It is. And I think that so many people, I think that we try to overwrite. So we go over the steps. And actually, when you come from an EQ perspective, it's just about remembering where they were and how that person feels. And yeah, you convert.
Well, what have you found? So as you went through this process, do most people that you help, do they get stuck on the copywriting, or is it the tech, or is it a combination of everything?
It's a combination. And like you said, so I kind of evolved to systems through the project management. So I would always help people understand those workflows and the process, and then the solution for the system. And quite often I kind of met them in the middle of funnel, in that they would not be converting and worried about all of the things. And often there was that bridge between emotional EQ in why they weren't converting. It was nothing to do with the funnel. It was just actually missing that magnetic messaging.
And the messaging came in the form of like essentially the copywriting and the like graphics, or was it when you say the funnel, right? Are you talking about the general flow of steps or the offer itself that the funnel contains?
Absolutely. So I'm actually talking about the wider funnel. So it could be that something is off in their messaging. They kind of come to you, or a client may come and say, look, we've been told that we have to do this. We've been told that we have to do that. And if it's not congruent with you, how you deliver it EQ wise will be that I don't feel comfortable with this. Like we spoke about, okay, Kat, I was like, Josh, what do I need to do? And you was like, just explain what you do. That feels more congruent with me because I'm explaining what I do. Had you given me a script, I'd be going, it feels robotic. You know, it feels robotic. It's not natural. So I think that's there's misalignment between their messaging, and energy matters within your marketing message. You know, people, they read into you. And I think that's why Clubhouse is working so well. You know, it's unscripted. People pick up the tonality. It's natural. You can hear when someone's nervous on there. I almost want to go through the phone and give them a hug, you know? So it's like, often when people are selling, you're just like, relax, be yourself. And we look at the optimization, putting more of them into it. You know what? They convert. And that's why I think that video converts, because people can see.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know?
Agreed. And they can see your eyes, they can see your facial expressions, your body language. I was just actually the last show was with this guy named Mike Roderick, who I think you would really like. And
I think I saw that one.
Yeah, and he was talking about because he used to do a lot of Broadway productions. He was a Broadway producer, and he would say, look, the thing that you wanted to do was have the audience lean in, right? If they leaned in, you knew that you were doing something right. If they leaned back, you knew that, you know, they weren't. And you can see that in video. You can, you know, you have that substance.
Yeah. And I think that's the issue. And often the funnel, I'll ask someone, well, tell me why you do this. Like, what are you doing? Remember, the funnel is just to captivate your audience wherever they are. And then they'll tell me the story. And then you're like, I got it. That's the bit. It's that bit. So it can be the mission, just something is in misalignment. And it's about creating a system around them, that message, monetizing that, and creating a process. And then the workflow. So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, as people work towards that, right? They have, you know, a lot of people that are listening have their own content. They've tried a whole bunch of things. It could be relatively centralized, or it could just be disparate everywhere. You know, like they just threw a whole bunch of stuff against the wall. What I like to ask people on this show is
Yes.
where, where in your experience is a good place to start? Like if they could just focus their attention on one thing in your experience, what do you think that should be?
So I did it myself in December, and I tell everyone, don't make it difficult. Think of I call your product staircase, like the main things that you sell. So there's something right at the top, something in the middle, and something at the bottom. And get a piece of paper and brainstorm what you will be doing. So I had brainstormed for my team, and I had one of my assistants on my back saying, okay, can we have January, please, today? Because basically that is what you'll be talking about, what you're promoting. Everything should bring it back to the main kind of content pillar. So for me, if I'm going to be talking about Clubhouse at the top, then I might be talking next month about how to do lead generation with Clubhouse. And then the next month. So it's always about bringing it back in to where you want to funnel people in, or where you want visibility, or where you want to focus on with your audience. But for me, I like to have a content pillar and then 3 subtopics, because with those subtopics, you can SEO optimize, and then the system might be an automated webinar. Or it might be saying, hey, I'm doing a Clubhouse based on this. And if you go to the calendar on Clubhouse, you can see I've done that with the classes that I've scheduled for the next 4 weeks. So it's about having that system and then repurposing that content. So if I've done audio, I might talk about systems and then embed the link to this interview, because I'm talking about how can you build systems through lead generation, creating visibility for yourself. And here I am. So it's just about pulling it all together.
So what you're saying is that, like, for instance, for January, you choose one thing, like Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse
the
is
overarching topic.
overarching topic. And by the way, like this whole thing that you just described, I don't know if you've ever heard this. It's I learned it from
Wow.
a guy called he was in the Navy SEALs, and they were talking about how they solve problems, and there's like a general framework for it, and they called it targets, weapons, tactics, right?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, and the whole point is that the target was first. You had to identify what it was that you were going for. In your case, Clubhouse, right?
Yes.
Then the weapons were dictated by whatever the target was. So like for you, it could be those subtopics and how you were going to, like, what you had at your disposal to talk about them. And then the tactics followed that.
Absolutely.
It's like, are we going to do this via like a webinar? Are we going to do this like through an email campaign?
Absolutely.
And it sounds very much like what you're talking about, where you identifying like one single thing.
Yeah.
And then how to essentially like back calculate how to get there.
Exactly. But I feel like you have to also be agile, because I hadn't, and we'll be okay for time now. They've just told me they're running late, so we'll be okay for time.
Okay,
so don't
perfect.
worry, you're brilliant. Yeah.
Perfect.
You're so helpful. The thing for me though is making sure that you are agile. For me, I didn't plan on Clubhouse back in November. Like, I knew Clubhouse was around, I was on there, but I didn't think it would be like a major part of my tactics. So it's about, being flexible. I can include it in my content, sure enough. But like you said, I think entrepreneurs have the shiny object syndrome. And I said to my team today, you know what, I need to be very structured, because this month I've got to write curriculum. So you're right. I think so many people get caught up on tactical things and not the overarching kind of framework or strategy.
Yeah, 100%. Like, without knowing where they're going to begin with, like none of these, because also actually we were talking with Mike, like he was saying, one thing that I remember him saying was that the patterns that you have in your life and that what you see with your customers, they create these frameworks. And what I think you're saying is that when you're just handed a bunch of tactics, right, and a framework, you just skip over the pattern recognition. So you don't really understand.
Gosh, you're so clever.
Yeah, you don't
You're
really
so
understand
clever. Yeah.
And that's why half the time it doesn't work for people, because you need to have a basic understanding of the patterns first before the framework can be effective. I don't know. What do you think?
You know what you've said is absolute gold. I have people come to me, and sometimes with clients who are of that mindset, I'll have them look at my Google Drive, and I'll say, I created this in 2016. I created this in 2017. I haven't deviated it away from it. I've done little bit, little bit, little bit. Like, the money and the strategy and the reward and the results is in doing that process. And so many people come in the middle and want to go straight to the top. They're like, I want it. I don't want to do the rest of that work. And a great thing is, I had a high ticket client at the beginning of COVID. Now, everyone panicked as soon as it happened, and she was like, Kat, I'm not going to be able to work with you. Like, even everyone was just like, can't do one-to-one anymore. It's going down. In the middle of COVID, 2 of my clients reached out and said, I can't believe this. We're still selling. Everything's still going okay. Your framework works. And I was like, it's like evergreen. It's pandemic proof, because you are sticking to that framework and your process. So I think that has been so encouraging, that I wanted to start 21 strong. And it's about, because your content, right, it's evergreen. We're not talking about dates. So there's always going to be a starter. There's always going to be someone that wants to grow, and always going to be someone that wants to scale with your message and content. So if you stick to the framework, it's going to help someone at every level. So it's evergreen.
So for instance, let's take January again, like using your example. If it's all about Clubhouse, are you creating evergreen Clubhouse content essentially?
Yeah, so what I've learned to do, what I'm doing at the moment, is a micro blog. So one of them will be my reflections, because I've really looked at the way that social media has moved. And over the pandemic, I spent some time in Silicon Valley, and then that thing came out on Netflix, which is, they're trying to keep our attention. And lots of people were transitioning from corporate to starting their own businesses. And I didn't want to add to the noise and say, you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. So one of the things that I saw when I did my research was my predictions, a case study, my reflections, because I'm saying, as a professional, this is what I've learned. I'm not telling them, you do this, you do that. And when you buy a biography, when you buy a book, you want to find out how someone else is doing it. So that micro blog is kind of saying, this is what I've learned. The actual blog, which will be SEO optimized, moves back into that pillar framework. So the headline will be, should include 2 keywords. The content will kind of give an overarching reflection or some content, and then maybe I'll give an opt-in. So if you want to find out a checklist for this topic just here, download my checklist. Or I did a video on licensing, and I said, join the wait list if you would like to know about the program. So it's always thinking, how will I lead into this 3 months time when I want to do launch? I'll just come back and hyperlink to this, this kind of this master content.
Can you explain to me real quick, like, because I don't know if I understood the difference between your microblog and the regular blog?
So the regular blog should be something that people come back to all the time. And you may, time to time, update the links within it. So you may be having a program. So you might put something like a content upgrade. So the main blog is like, it may have a content upgrade. The micro blog may change because it's like tactical on whether things come out. So I haven't done much research into it. It's my reflections on kind of testing this platform out, or what I've learned. So it might be about a software or a tool or something like that.
But is it still like a small little article that you put out on social?
It will be, yeah. So I did it last night. I started talking about the like the things and my engagement. What I'm going to do as well, it's all about kind of like, come and check me out. Come and check out my room. So again, it's quite tactical.
Yeah. Well, as you go through a lot of these tactics and you deploy them, and then you sort of get feedback back, how do you think about the thresholds and the metrics of whether or not something is successful? or not? Like whether you should continue to pursue it or you should say, this isn't working as great as I thought it was going to work and move somewhere else.
I don't know. I think everyone's got their own methods. For me, it's about the time that it takes me to get it up and running. And it was after spending some time with my accountant. It's like, okay, well, how long does it take for you to kind of this to work? Because he's like, other people, they apply for a job, they get paid at the end of the month. As an entrepreneur, you're coming up with your idea. I know people who are doing webinars for 2 months, and it's like, when does this give you a result? So now I kind of give myself a daily goal, a weekly goal, and a monthly goal. And I don't want to spend all my time in tactics because you know what? I've been there, I've done that,
Right.
So for me, Clubhouse was amazing because it skipped some of that lead generation process. And guess what? There was no ad costs. So actually my conversion's been about 75%, which is freaking amazing. So that's that. There you go. There's your answer. That's what it's been.
Yeah. So like if it's working, it really works. And then
it really does. And the leads, I mean, I'd say I got about 800 followers. And it's like, well, what have I really done? I've only turned up, shown value. And actually, it's less laborious than some of these long, full-on fledged launches that I've had to go through. So I'm like, if I put some time into this, I can see an effort. So for me, I'll spend a month on it. I'll see how it goes in a month, take some times out, then set some KPIs, and really list build.
I like that. I'm glad that you said that. Like, so for everybody listening, I think that's a really important point. Like choose something and just stick with it for a month. Like continue to do it. Don't just hop around, but actually focus. Yep.
Yeah. And for me, because it's free before putting ad costs, I wanted to make sure that the rest of my landscape was ready, all of my data. So yes, people will be hopping out, but I've got my UTM set up. I've kind of got my triggers. So even though I'll be showing up, I'm making sure that things are set up, because over Christmas it was haphazard, you're just showing up in rooms. But I really wanted to get some kind of systems in there.
For people that are listening and have no idea what UTMs are, can you explain what those are to people?
Of course. I'm not going to give the technical version because I can never pronounce that word. Is it urchin metric?
Something like that.
Something like that. So what I found is I've worked with people who spend thousands and thousands of pounds on their ads. And when I ask them if they've got any kind of tracking, they're like, what's that? And I'm like, whoa, I'm always worried about that. So UTMs is just like, you can go on and create a short link, but it essentially just shows you where the source of your traffic is coming from so that you can measure your efforts. And it's so important.
Do you now I'm just going to be selfish and I'm going to ask you some questions because
please.
Because I'm curious, because I've run into issues where using UTM variables on different various links shows me where the traffic is coming from. But when I go to link that traffic to actual purchases, the integrity of the data sort of disappears. It fades away. Like it can't actually track, particularly with page builders like ClickFunnels and stuff.
Yes.
Have you gotten around that in some way?
Well, have you added the extra triggers on Google Tags?
I have not.
That's where we found the kind of leak in the funnels. So that is the additional piece that we've done. And I also do a heat map just at the time of the kind of campaign, just to make sure that I've got, captured sight of any kind of other traffic. But you're right. When it comes, sometimes when it goes to Facebook, it goes into a black wall, and it's like, where's it coming from? So you're absolutely right. But what we've found as an extra measure is using Google Tags. Try that.
All right, that's good. And by the way, let me put this up and show you, right? Lyndon says, Katrina, you are a wealth of knowledge. It just flows out of you. UTM, KPIs, microblogs, so many things.
I'm going to take a picture of this. Lyndon, you made my day. Thank you so much. I love it. Let's get a picture of that. Thank you so much. But I think I feel like everyone every entrepreneur or every person running their business, you get to the point sometimes that you want to give up. And I've met people like that. And sometimes it's just these small things that they can do which can change their life. And so I always say, let's start there. So I love data-driven marketing. And when you build a system, you just rinse and repeat. So that's what it is. It's just like, it's easy. And you can make a microblog after your cup of tea or dinner tonight. I do my microblogs here on my phone, blah, 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 blah. And then you got 500 words. So yeah.
What do? You just speak into it and then transcribe it?
Honestly, Josh, yeah, that's what I did. So I get like the main bits, and then this is why I've got all my words up. You probably can't see it, but I get the main topics, the headline. I think once you do that, and if you're going to do a blog that's like really big or you want a lot of traffic, get a quality site that you're kind of indexing. So I'm going to link to Social Media Examiner because I'm going to say, this is what this authority site says about it. But it's great for backlinks, right? So
yeah.
That's it. It's about being deliberate. And I didn't do that. You know, I spent 3 years being tactical. Over here on Facebook, over here on Instagram, over here. And it's like, it was just no system. It was tiring. And I checked one of my funnels, and actually it was the one that I gave least amount of time to. And I'd be in PayPal saying, where did this come from? I don't know what this is. And it was just like totally passive, but only because I had set it up right and optimized it. So yeah.
You know, as you talk about all of this stuff, right? I think back, you know, to the kind of stuff that I've also done, and a lot of the like massive mistakes I've made in the journey, right?
Yeah.
And just embarrassing stuff that I'm like, look back and I just say to myself, oh my God, like I can't believe that I did it. Are there any that you can remember, like some things that you've gone through where you're just like, oh my God, like, and you had to pick yourself back up again?
You know what? Especially in the online digital world, I feel like people, they want the magic ticket. So they'll coach hop, or they'll go here, there, and everywhere. And at the beginning, when you don't know your customer journey and you don't know your avatar, you'll take money. But now I say to clients, like, I do this qualification with you because I want to really, really, really want to help you, because in my arsenal, I know this serves this person. But if it's just about taking your money, I don't want to do it. So, you know, a lot of people like, Kat, you should be here, you should be there. But I'm focusing on this person. I want to zone right in on these people. So, yeah. And I really regret not doing that earlier. I was literally here, there, everywhere. I was networking.
Do you find not only is it more effective for them, I would imagine, like receiving the advice and actually applying it, but also that it's just more fulfilling for you as like a coach?
I love, you know, one of my clients at the beginning, we were talking, and she will tell you this herself. She's like, I just want to know when I'm going to get my results. When am I going to get the results? And I was like, if you don't see the results in working in what we're doing, then I think we need to stop working. She's like, I feel so bad. I feel like you're sacking me. I'm like, I'm not. I want you to get it. Honestly, 1 year down the line, she's come back for maintenance. She's an absolute powerhouse. She's amazing. But she said, what you've taught me is a system that I can apply to anything. So I wish I had done that before. I was learning to believe in myself, whereas there's so much comparison online. People are saying, I did it this way, I did it that way. But I think it's important for everyone to understand that they're dynamic within their own right. No one does Firebuilder like you, Josh, because you've got your own magnetic... But it's the truth, like you're magnetic within your own right. And I think that so many people try to be everyone else. And in 2021, I feel like people need to zone in on what their genius is and their process. And that's what it is. I've learned, I think you might have seen my post yesterday, but I just learned, I've totally learned to be vibrational, like to enjoy who I am. And that's the connection with your audience, because I remember I spoke to an investor when I was 26, and he was like, I'm not investing in what you're doing, but you're going to do well because you love it. I can see you're all hype and you love what you do. And that's how you've got to be. People they can see your passion, you know? So, yeah.
I tell you what, we got people like Jay saying, yes, queen.
Oh, I love her so much. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's helping women who are 35 plus, they can't attract a man, and seeing her step into her power was amazing. But that's because I knew I could help someone like Jay. So honestly, she's amazing. She really is. But yeah, that's it.
No, and I totally agree what you said about people not looking to either side of them, but just focusing on the goal, the finish line, right?
Yeah.
Or at least the next marker. Maybe it's not the finish line, but at least it's the next like post signpost.
Exactly, Josh. Yeah.
You know, and not worrying about like other people, because that's where you start to get pulled in other directions. And yeah.
And you know what? No one gets that download or that vision like you. And I think that I used to go to, all the entrepreneurs, they kind of network. Well, over the last 2 years, Josh, I was like, I'm not interested. I don't want to know. And I got the best results then. My accountant was like, what did you do then? What did we do here? Like, what was the difference here, like in the service? And I realized that my focus was like, this is what I'm doing in the mornings. And I want to connect with my clients. And so often entrepreneurs are more interested in their peers and the tactics because marketing is a skill. It's not going to give you one result and done. So when you refine that and you get used to and know what your audience's pain points are, there you go. Bob's your uncle if you're in the UK, Josh. Yeah.
What exactly does that mean, Bob's your uncle?
That's it. Bob's your uncle is like, that's it. That's what you get, basically.
Okay. Damn straight. Damn straight. And Lyndon says, eyes on the prize, put on those horse blinders and follow your heart. And Lyndon does just that.
Does she? See?
She does.
That's what I think. And I tell you what, when people come to me broken, like there's something about the sales funnel that I just want to demystify. They're like, it's not working, it's broken. And it's like, it could just be one tweak that could change your life. So yeah, you are a system. Make your own system.
Well, I agree. And so let's just say that somebody did that. They take your advice, they create a like an idea for January, right? That they're going to focus on. And then they link everything back to that in some way, shape, or form. I'm curious, in your experience, if they were to do that for the entire month of January and say they've never done like a sort of a tactic like this before, in your experience, what would happen to them? What would they expect?
They'd end up with a result. But for me, my mentor said to me back then, his name was Daniel Wagner. He was like, find your audience, ask them what they want, how they want it, and then give it to them. So I feel like the first things that people need to do is look at their audience, like find out their keywords, spend some time with them, hang out in their forums, and then find out how people are actually coming to you. For my website, I did some SEO work for me and myself and my clients, and I found that people were coming to my website because they were looking for compliance. KYC is a form of financial processing. So I had, right? And it's like, damn, it's messing up my ad costs. So what I did was I looked at Google Console and was like, right, I need to make sure my content's very optimized. So often the data is actually there. If someone goes to their Google Console now, they'll see how people are finding them. And often we forget, we keep busy, tactical. And the money's in the data. So that's what I found anyway.
Well, for those that don't know what Google Console is, can you explain that to them? Because there might be a lot of people out there that have never used it.
I know. And if you haven't, no judgment, no shame at all. Get it up there. But what it is Google Console is something that Google is the big brother of all the websites, and even before Facebook. So if you connect that to your website, what Google does is every time someone hits on your website organically, it will tell you how someone comes to your site, your funnel, your programs. It effectively gives you that main keyword for your customer journey. So it will help you to embed that keyword into your copy, and you want to start ranking on that and keeping an eye on that keyword. And again, everything starts to link up because you want to use that keyword in your copy. And so for some people, I say, if you've got a repetitive keyword, put that in your frequently asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
Or put that within your, your word. Are you sad and lonely? Add that to your keyword, or your headlines. So that should start helping you. And then the other thing is having a look at, for one of my clients, her Google Search Console suggested people were looking at her content from Australia, and she'd never considered that demographic. So I was like, are we using language that they understand? Are we using really kind of stiff English language, or but are we putting classes on at times that they can actually attend? So it really does help you think about the customer touch points and journey based on how people are interacting with you and your content.
Yep. I like it a lot. And I'm curious, right? As you go through this and you start to learn more about your customers and the different types of words they're using, understanding them, hang out in forums and stuff. What do you do when you get customer like conflicts, so to speak, where you have some people saying that they want this thing, you have some people saying that they don't want this thing? How do you personally choose between them and figure out which one you're going to do?
I realized that I had evolved, so my customer had. So for me, you're right, I have recently had that. And so what that meant was either I don't have enough products within my product suite for them so that they can evolve and they can work through customer ascension, i.e., they don't have enough content here at the beginning that tells them why they've even got the problem.
Yep.
So that's what the conflict was. It's like, well, they don't know what a sales funnel is. They don't know what bloody data is, because that wouldn't even be in their peripheral. So you might create content that talks to them a little bit about it, that tells them, okay, this is the step that you may take to diagnose it. So it might be something as simple as why you're not making money with your funnel. But within that, you're educating them. So you just might need more content that educates them so they know they've got a problem, because quite often they don't. Like my client, Jay, she ran a couple of classes and I was like, well, damn it. That's what my problem is with dating. She's a dating coach. So, well, damn it, your content's educating me. So it's all about that. Your content should really hit them in the heart.
By the way, Jay said, Katrina is helping me with World Takeover.
I love her. She's amazing. Yes, I am. She's absolutely amazing. But this is the point. And we want to reach all women, because Jay feels fulfilled when she helps those women. Most of our clients have a pain point, right? And we just want to solve it, because usually we've been that client. And that's what it is. So we know we're usually 2 to 4 steps ahead of them.
Yep.
So, and then we evolve. You evolve. So you will have to check your personas, because sometimes I look at some of my content and I was like, wow, it's a bit of a cheeky thing, wasn't I? I don't want to talk to people like that anymore. So sometimes, your copy, you aspire, you evolve as you learn. And that was what it was. In fact, I'd worked with Jay some time ago, and she's manifested everything she said. So the reason why she's great for her clients, because she did it. And that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if anybody knows, you can speak from experience instead of just sort of trying to regurgitate something that you learned 15 years ago from a book, or something like that.
And you get to the dumbfounded bit. Like I say to my clients, if I don't know something, let's get an expert, because it's pretty obvious. You can tell, especially with Clubhouse, you can tell.
Yeah.
So yeah,
100%.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, no, this is so great. So so honestly, I have so loved this conversation, Katrina. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure that there are people out there listening right now that want to keep going with this and want to continue the conversation with you, ask you some questions. So tell everybody what the hell you got going on aside from Clubhouse, because we know you're on there 23 hours of the day.
I need a life.
How can people best connect with you?
So you can find me on my technology site, which is www.aggregatordigital.com. And I am working and doing exactly what I've just told you guys to do. So you can find me on www.katrinayoungconsulting.com. But there's a holding page up there because I'm optimizing my site for January. Yep. So yeah, you can find me there as well.
I dig it. That's so awesome. And I'll tell you, and then Cheryl says,
Oh, so sweet, Cheryl. Mwah. They see me kind of move from this introvert, because it's fine being an introvert, but actually I can help more people when I show up as I am. So I kind of do the whole nervous shit, a little bit before, and then let's just do it.
no, absolutely. Like we were talking before the show, like it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes coming on these lives.
You were calming me down.
Like, gonna be cool. Just follow my lead.
Absolutely. But how did we meet? We met at Christmas Eve. I mean, look at that. We then met to discuss a JV just after Christmas. And if we hadn't had that common contact who could have helped us, you helped me to develop my software. You saved me like 3 to 6 months worth of time. So, but that's what it is. And that's because you shared your knowledge and you shared the process. So it's so helpful. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you too. Seriously, it's like the internet is an incredible place, right? Like you just never know what's going to happen. Clubhouse is just magical, right? It really is.
At the moment.
At the moment, exactly. But
not
there's definitely
under my eye.
There's some fatigue. I feel like there's going to be some products that help people deal with Clubhouse withdrawal pretty soon.
Honestly,
things like that.
To go to sleep, but I mean, whilst it's been great, it actually shows us. I'm like, if we did that with our own businesses, where would we be?
Yeah. Well, because I would want people to actively consume some of that. So if they gave themselves, look, I get an hour. I'm going to spend an hour on Clubhouse. I'm going to listen. It's going to force me to choose the rooms that I'm in very carefully, and whatever I learn, I am going to implement in the next couple of days. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
That's why I said when you do the micro blog, it's top of mind and that's it. It's not laborious and you just get on with it. It used to take me days to get that content out. So it's really important just to get it done.
Yep. Agreed. 100%.
And after this, I've got client work for Jay.
Just coming for you, Jay.
Yeah, I'm coming for you. Thank you so much, Josh.
No, this is so good. I am so happy that you were able to join us today. This has been such a great conversation. We thought that we were going to have to cut it short, but fortunately we didn't. Yeah, fantastic. Is there any last minute nugget of wisdom that you'd like to leave everybody before we go?
So if you really want to make your life easier, is to document your process, like literally A, B, C, D, and outsource your weakness. Get it done. I know it's not easy. And even if it's like 10, 20 pounds a week, but definitely outsource your weakness. I think that's so important. And I'm definitely practicing what I preach. I have been. But when it comes to outsourcing, I'm often the bottleneck because they need me to sit down and get it done. So, and that's the problem. And that's why it's easy just to transcribe it and outsource that step. It's so important.
Yep. All right. And I'll tell you, you guys heard it first. And Lyndon says,
I've got to take a picture of that, Lyndon. Listen, we're going to need to connect. You don't know what you've done for my Monday. Thank you so much. Thank you.
This has been so good. So, Katrina, thanks again for being on the show and taking the time. This has been great.
Yay, thank you. Now I'm going to not log on to Clubhouse. And actually, honestly, it's been a nightmare. But Josh, have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone who's been watching. I really appreciate it.
Yes. This is so fantastic. Well, Katrina, thank you so much. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Josh Katrina, Elvis the Rooster, who was here a little while ago.
Is that what you were looking at, Josh?
Oh, yeah. He just strolled right in front of the computer, right? Decided to just hang out for a while, listen to us talk. But I'll tell you, we're wrapping up another episode of Firebuilders Live. Guys, if you enjoyed this, come join us for another episode. We stream live 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Support the show, firebuilderslive.com. If you want some cool stuff in the background, behind the scenes stuff. Katrina, this has been great. Thanks again.
Thank you, Josh. Take care. See ya. Bye-bye.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
See ya. Bye.